Yo, 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 what up, Raider Nation? Welcome in to another episode of the Raider Raccoon Show. So, today, I know the season has not gone anywhere near where we would like for it to have gone. We got either the first or second pick in the draft. People hitting us with the worst team in the league tag, which is probably warranted because after watching that Giant game, I do truly believe we are the worst team in the league. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Today, we are here to talk about the GM, Johnny Spytek. Let's take a little bit of a deep dive into Johnny Spytek, if you would. First, let me get a like, share, comment, subscribe. Go ahead and download the show on YouTube. Put it on auto download on wherever you get your audio podcasts. That's what I meant to say. All right, so the record is ugly this season. Raiders are, as it stands right now, after 16 games, sitting at 2-14. But let's talk about the GM, John Spytek. Spytek, this past draft in 2025, selected some good players. We got 4 contributors. All right, these guys, contributors can start some games. They cannot start some games, but usually when we say contributor, you're talking about somebody that played some significant snaps. Let's talk about Spytek. Where does he come from? So he had a resume as a true football guy. Let's talk about why is he looked at as a true football guy and not a front office suit like some of these other guys are. First of all, Johnny Spytek played a little linebacker at the University of Michigan. That right there in itself separates him from a lot of GMs. He worked for Andy Reid for a little while. He had a stint in Cleveland in the 2010 to 2012 range. He was with Andy in Philly before Andy left Philly around in 2009. Circa 2015, he was with the Broncos. That Bronco team won Super Bowl 50. So he was a part of constructing a Super Bowl roster right there in Denver. You know, he might have had a small role, but he had a role. People give him credit for being a part of that. And I think more importantly, the reason he's in Vegas is because of the 9-year run he had in Tampa Bay. He rose from director of player personnel to assistant GM, helping build the roster that dominated Super Bowl in 55, my bad. When people call him a true football guy, they mean it because he used to play backer, and the way that he evaluates, he likes tough football guys. All right. Let's talk about the Brady connection. As we know, Tom Brady is a minority owner, part owner in the Raiders. Him and John Spytek go back to playing days at the University of Michigan. Spytek, I said earlier, was a linebacker. We all know Tom Brady's story by now, right? 6th-round pick, quarterback, didn't even start at Michigan when he first got there. He was on 7th string, blah, 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 blah. But these guys met in college as college teammates and formed a bond way from back then in the Michigan days. So we're talking, these guys go back nearly 30 years. So fast forward to Tampa Bay, a lot of people feel like Tom Brady picked Tampa because they had a lot of talent. They had did well the year before. Uh, Jameis had threw a bunch of picks to kind of throw them out of it, but they had a really good team. They had good coaching over there with Bruce Arians, and they just needed a QB. A lot of people think that's what, and that is true, right? If they got a QB added to that team, they would have been better, right? But they also end up getting AB and Gronk, and they drafted Fournette. They drafted Tristan Wirfs. These are all guys that came that same year with Brady, and Spytek was there for all of that. He wasn't the GM; he was the assistant GM at that time, but he was a part of all of that. And more importantly, what I learned was he was the point man in the Tuesday scouting the opponent meetings with Tom Brady. So once the season started, Tom Brady and Spytek real close over there in Tampa because they was formulating the game plans together on offense. So they would watch the film of the other team and scout that, right? And get that all game plan all together and all the audibles and all that. And they got even tighter right there. So with Brady being over in our ownership group, it's only natural that he would bring his guy over, right? Who has a sort of like the same philosophy, known him for a long time. You trust him, right? And it's a great working relationship. I think you guys seen before, whether it was on All Grind or my show, I talked about how Mark Davis um, admiration for Tom Brady is cringeworthy at times, right? So Tom is running the show. Let's be honest. Mark makes some calls, but he's basically letting Tom Brady run the show. And it really kind of showed right here with this first hire right here when he hired Tom's guy. Now, when we hired him, since he's been a Raider, that's his background, right? Uh, Cleveland, Philly, Denver, Tampa Bay. Uh, Denver, the team he is a part of, won a Super Bowl, and so did the team in Tampa Bay. Now he's here. What has he done since he's been here? Well, he selected Ashton Jeanty, 6 overall, in his first big move. And I really feel like that kind of shows his mentality, right? He wanted a running back, a real legitimate 3-down NFL running back, doesn't go down on the first hit and runs that thing nice and hard. Pause. And that showed in his philosophy. Then he got Caleb Rogers, which was a interior offensive lineman out of Texas Tech, who had played a lot of football. That translated to him ending up being able to get out on the field for the Raiders and some significant playing time, albeit late in the season when the season was already kind of, situated as far as what the record was going to be. But Caleb Rogers has played, and Caleb Rogers looks like next year he's going to be a penciled in starter at one of the guard spots, probably right guard. It looks like that's where he's most comfortable. So I don't know what we're going to do with PJ, but I'm sure we'll work it out. Either Powers Johnson is going to be at the center or the other guard or something. They'll work that out. But it looks like Caleb's role is that right guard. So he has what they call a trench first mentality. So that's why he drafted trench players. He drafted interior O-line, Rogers, offensive tackle in Charles Grant, a rookie project out of William and Mary. right? And then on the free agent tip, he went in and brought in Jeremy Chin, Elandon Roberts, hard-nosed, physical, proven players on defense. And the Raiders' defense, for the most part, was pretty good, right? I had some issues with the stay over the top mentality and that soft zone that they play. But for the most part, the Raiders' defense played decent enough to win more games than they won. It was just that the offense was so inept. So that's where he has to focus his attention this offseason. It has to be on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, the defense could use some tuning up, some depth, some minor tweaks, if you will. Mostly just let uh, Coach PG do his thing, man, and Pete Carroll stay out of it. Stop trying to add your philosophy to his and just let the man coach. Um, but yeah, this season in the draft and free agency, the Raiders have plenty of money in salary cap space. I believe 100 million or so, 10 draft picks. What I would like to see is some good free agent pickups. I'm not going to get into anything specific right now because we haven't even hit the end of the season yet. I want to start the speculation already. It's only January. That type of thing doesn't happen until March after the Super Bowl. But I do want them to spend some of that money on some good free agents. I'm not saying splash names, but I'm saying solid guys and character guys that you can sign up for a couple years. Gave out a lot of one-year deals, prove-it deals, if you would. Because I think Johnny Spytek kind of knew this roster wasn't where it was at, but he let Petey play out his little dream or whatever. And then once the wheels fell all the way off, Spytek shut everything down. That's why Bowers ain't playing. That's why Chin ain't playing. That's why Max didn't play. Are they going to bring Petey back? I don't know. But they need a new offensive philosophy. They need a new offensive system. And they need a quarterback. And they need a top flight receiver. So I don't know how Spytek is going to pull off getting a quarterback and a receiver. That's top notch. But this is what the Raiders need. The rookies that he got last year, receivers, were good. Don't get me wrong. Bash and Thornton are pretty good players. I like the way Bash catches it with his hands, and I like the way that Thornton is. He looks like he works hard and is trying to get better, but right now he has a long way to go. But he's really fast and can put pressure on defenses, and he's tall. So I think he could be a good player going forward. I noticed that Spytek doesn't really do a lot of overthinking and over scouting guys and caring about positional value and all that. He sees a good player and he drafts a good player. That's what he does. And I like that about him because a lot of these guys try to make the job harder than it is. And really all you got to do, man, is get good players. Get good players. That's all you got to do. And Spytek seems to know that. And hopefully he can get this thing built up. He seems to be in his first year, made some solid decisions. I did several shows talking about I felt like Pete was sabotaging his picks by not letting them play. I feel like a lot of those kids could have played immediately. I ain't gonna say immediately, but Caleb Rogers, I believe, should have got in sooner. But even Caleb said he was a mess at first. He was not pro ready when he first got here. But we didn't see that much of Pegues and Hemingway and those young guys on the defensive line. But we did start to see them later in the season. And that's going to be the Raiders team going forward. The Genties and the Bashes and the Thorntons and Caleb Rogers and guys of that nature. Like I said, defensively, also he drafted Darian Porter, a guy who is now starting corner. He was beat out in training camp by Blue Kelly. The Blue Kelly got hurt, and now Darian Porter is starting. So this guy's got few starters that he drafted, right? Rogers is starting now, Porter's starting now, Genty's been starting from day one. And sure, they're not top-notch players at their position. Genty is, arguably. But these guys are coming on and they're learning and developing. It's going to be a couple years before we see what we actually have, but I'm not mad at his approach to it. I believe he knew that this team wasn't going to be that good, and he just kind of plugged in guys accordingly to go along with what Pete was preaching and teaching. So now him and Pete should be on the same page, or if not, Pete might have to go. If you are John Spytek, if you Mark Davis, I know you probably want to keep a coach for at least 1 year, right? Let somebody coach 2 years, for crying out loud. But, if it's not working, it's not working. And you got cash now, so it's not like you're broke. But I would understand if you kept Pete Carroll, because you are paying about 3-4 coaches that aren't even coaching right now. And if you get another year under your belt, I think you'll be able to clear the AP, probably the Josh McDaniels, and maybe even the Gruden, or all 3 of them. But if you can clear at least 1 or 2 of them and then hire a new coach, and don't forget, you're still playing Chip Kelly. You gave him $6 million a year. So they kind of just throwing the money away on coaches right now. And that, for any, more reason than anything, would be a reason that Pete Carroll might stay, man. They want to get the books as far as the coaching staff right, because they're paying a bunch of guys that ain't here no more. So either him and Pete are on the same page, or Pete's going to get fired. There's reports that Spytek was safe in his job, and I can see why. He just got here. He's not coaching the team. He got some good players. Genty is a good player. You can't say he's not. Thornton was decent. Best was decent, but these guys are rookies. You can't say he did anything wrong. He brought in Jeremy Chin. He brought in Devin White. Devin White led the team in tackles. So the guys he brought in played well. Can't say it's really Spytek's fault. Eugene was a Pete Carroll guy, right? That was Petey's guy. So that's why they saying Johnny's safe and Petey could be on the hot seat. But the rumors are swirling right now about Pete Carroll. So we'll see what's going to happen with Spytek. But, him getting ran, I don't think is in the equation. Looking forward to see what he's got going for this next draft. Is he going to go big-time quarterback, or is he going to just stockpile picks and just pick a bunch of guys? Because the Raiders need guys. They need talent throughout the roster. Yes, they do need a quarterback, though, without a doubt. Is Mendoza the guy? We don't know. Curious to see what first year, going into a second-year GM, John Spytek is going to do. So we will trust the John Spytek blueprint until we don't trust it. But stay tuned, man. We got more this coming draft season. And what you guys think about Spytek, the Michigan man, and the Spytek blueprint? Are you riding with the Michigan man? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, just win, baby.